Okay, so let's jump right into this, because this is a story that honestly sounds like a complete paradox. We're talking about an animal that is at the same time one of the world's most destructive pests and an ecological hero. How on earth is that possible? Well, we're about to find out.
Right. So on one side of the planet, you've got Australia, where there are over 200 million rabbits. That's 10 times the human population, and they're causing so much damage, they're officially a national pest. But then you look over at China, and they deliberately imported millions of the exact same animal. And their goal? To do something that sounds impossible. Turn a desert green. And believe me, what happened next was something nobody saw coming.
To really get this story, you first have to meet the villain, the Kubuqi Desert in northern China. For generations, this place wasn't just some sandy patch. They called it the Sea of Death. And for good reason. It was this relentless, unstoppable force of nature.
Now the problem here has a name. It's called desertification. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a process where living, healthy land gets completely swallowed up by sand, turning it totally barren and useless. And the Kubuqi Desert, well, it was an expert at this.
And we are not talking about a slow process here. The scale of this was just terrifying. Every single year, the Kubuqi was expanding and swallowing up 500,000 acres of perfectly good land. It was like this unstoppable tide of sand. You know, for years, people tried to fight back with everything they had. Back in the 50s and 60s, they launched these huge projects, they built sand control stations, they planted millions and millions of trees. And nothing worked. The Sea of Death was just too powerful. Honestly, the whole situation seemed pretty hopeless. And then, this one man comes along with an idea that was so out there, everybody thought he was completely crazy. A local entrepreneur, a guy named Wang Wenbiao, decided he was going to pour his own money into doing what the government couldn't, literally plant a forest in the middle of a desert.
His plan, though, was actually pretty clever. First, he didn't just plant any trees. He chose willow trees, which are super hardy. The roots can dig an incredible 300 feet down to find water underground. Then, to protect the little baby saplings from those brutal sandblasting winds, he laid out these grids of dried shrubs. And the end goal was to create a sustainable business, harvesting the wood for paper and furniture. And for the first 3 years, it was actually working. The trees were surviving. But then a massive new problem popped up. See, to make the wood valuable, you have to prune all the new little shoots off the sides so the main trunk grows thick and strong. But trying to do that by hand for thousands of trees spread across a huge desert, it was just logistically impossible and way too expensive. The entire project was right on the verge of collapse.
And this is where our story takes a fascinating twist. Faced with a problem that seemed to have no solution, the answer came from a very, very unlikely hero. It was time for the rabbits, specifically a breed known as the Rex rabbit.
The Rex rabbit was, it turns out, the perfect little employee. It solved a bunch of problems all at once. First, it just loved to eat the new shoots on the willow trees, which meant free, perfect pruning. Second, its waste was a fantastic fertilizer, turning that dead sand into rich soil. Third, and this is a cool little quirk, it can't digest grass seeds, so its droppings basically planted new grass all over the place. And finally, its fur, which is super luxurious and kind of like an otter's, was really valuable, creating a whole new industry for the local people. You see, it wasn't any single one of those things that was so brilliant. It was all of them together. The rabbit's own natural habits created this incredible, self-sustaining loop. They ate, they fertilized, they planted, and they created economic value all at the same time. They completely flipped the script on the entire ecosystem. And the results of this bizarre little partnership between people, trees, and rabbits, well, they were nothing short of miraculous. This wasn't just about planting a few trees anymore. This was about completely transforming an entire region, its environment, and its economy.
The numbers here are just staggering. Over the next 3 decades, 6,250 square kilometers of the Kubuqi Desert, that's about a third of the whole thing, was transformed from just barren sand into a living, green landscape.
And this wasn't just some environmental win. The project created, it's estimated, around 100,000 new jobs. Think about that. People who were once running away from the expanding desert now had a reason to stay and build a real future. We're talking more than 2,000 farms, selling over 3 million Rex rabbits every year. This new eco-economy, as they called it, completely changed people's lives. The average annual income for a farmer in the area jumped to almost $10,000.
In a place that was once defined by poverty and just struggling to get by, people were actually getting wealthy. Okay, so let's circle back to that first question. Why are rabbits a plague in Australia but a miracle in China? The answer is actually pretty simple. It's all about control. In Australia, the rabbits were an invasive species, dropped into an ecosystem with no natural predators. Their population exploded out of control, and the ecosystem collapsed. But in China, they were a carefully managed piece of a man-made ecosystem, where their natural habits were put to work for everyone's benefit.
But wait, because the story is not over. Just when you think the system can't possibly get any more brilliant, they added one final, incredible piece to the puzzle that just took this whole model to another level entirely.
Right in the heart of this brand new oasis, they built the Jamuna solar power plant. And, I mean, this thing is massive. We're talking 6,000 acres covered with almost 5 million solar panels. It is an absolutely incredible site.
And here's a fun little fact for you. The panels are all arranged in the shape of a giant galloping horse. It's so big, it actually earned a Guinness World Record for the largest solar panel image on Earth. You can literally see it from space.
But this power plant does so much more than just make electricity. The panels create shade, which dramatically cuts down on water evaporating from the soil. This allows grass to grow underneath them, which is then mowed for free by, you guessed it, the rabbits. And the whole structure also acts like a giant windbreak, slowing down those damaging winds by 50%, which protects the fragile new ecosystem even more.
So when you look at it all together, it's just this perfect symbiotic system. The trees help the environment and the economy, the rabbits help the environment and the economy, the solar farm helps the environment and the economy. Every single piece supports every other piece. It's beautiful.
The transformation is just complete. What was once known as the Sea of Death is now being called a Garden of Life. It's become this powerful, real-world example of how we can work with nature, not against it. And it offers a potential roadmap for the 40% of our planet that's threatened by this same problem of desertification.
You know, the biggest takeaway here is that by understanding and using nature's own logic, an impossible problem was solved. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other huge challenges could we overcome if we just took the time to find the right rabbit?